Well, my name is John Murchie. It's actually Donald John Murchie, but I go by John because my father used Donald. I've been here in Sackville for 33 years, come the 1st of May. I was in Halifax before that for how long? 25 years, more or less. And so most of my life I've spent in Canada now, although I was born in New Jersey. Went to school in Colorado, came to Dalhousie to go to graduate school, intending to stay here for a year, maybe two, and 55 or however many years later, here I still am. I've almost always used paint, although I started out carving, doing sculptural, not just carving, but sculptural work. Carving and kind of constructed objects. But soon got using paint, and actually for a long time I drew, as you can see from the drawings in the other room. And I did that because I had a full-time job and I didn't have a lot of time to do anything, and I didn't have any space to do things. But have mainly over the years used paint in one way or another. And I guess it's, I was thinking about it. I mean, usually words like conceptual and stuff like that come to people's minds, but in fact, when I'm doing things, it's way more intuitive. And I've usually just used materials and things that I had at hand or access to. Related to that, I suppose, has been the overwhelming interest in paint as something that covers things. And that kind of runs throughout lots of the work. At some moment, I thought, oh, well, I can make work. I can make a painting or a drawing or something that's trying to be a straight line. Well, some of them in there are using rulers and stuff, so that the straight line is pretty straight. But the realization that was an objective, I guess, on the one hand. Also, the line probably goes back in my mind to abstract expressionism, where, you know, Pollock out there throwing paint around. Okay, I'm not going to throw paint around, I'm going to try to control it, but you can't control it. I mean, it goes phooey one way or another. But I think it was just the realization that I could do something, and that indeed they could be kind of interesting to look at. And you say trying to do a straight line, well, that one's quite different from that one, that's quite different from that one. Although they're all just straight lines. And then I just kept doing them. I'm still doing them. I've got 2 on the go right at the moment. The work that I've been doing recently, where the grid is involved, you know, I don't find it a rule so much as there's the parameter that I'm working in, and a further parameter is I'm going to just use 3 colors or 2 colors or 4 colors, and so. Repetitious, I don't think it was usually as labor intensive, but because it's not particularly labor intensive, but it is time intensive. And that has often been an important issue to me, which is to say that somebody's looking at it says, geez, wow, that must have taken some time to do. That one of the values that may be inherent there somehow or other is that there's been a time span. An aspect of it is that much of it, you put down a coat of paint and you got to let it dry. So that was convenient, because for most of my life I had a full-time job, if not more than one full-time job. And so I could kind of come and go. Sometimes, like on that triptych crossword puzzle over there, conscious of it because I got so bored with it. But I was damned if I wasn't going to finish it, because it wasn't doing exactly what I was expecting it to do. But usually with lots of those, what keeps me going is I don't know what it's going to look like when it's done. So I'm really interested to see what it's going to look like. On the triptych, I did the first one, that was fine. And the second one, there's just slight variation. And the third one, a slight variation from the second. And I was expecting that it would look quite different. I mean, they do in lots of ways, but they don't to the extent that I was expecting it. And so I mean, I had a pretty good idea as to what it was going to look like. So that wasn't a motivating force, particularly. It took me a long time to get that done. But if you look at a bunch of them, I mean, it seems like lots of stuff, work I've done, it seems like, oh, it's very simple, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at the several crossword puzzles, which is quite a few, they're quite different. They're quite different. Which interests me, how just little bits of difference can make a big difference.